Hello and welcome back to Let's Play World of Warcraft with me, X2X. Our last video series we leveled up, we did some quests in Brill, and we died a bunch of times. So our goal this time is to continue on with questing through Tirisfal Glades, and we're gonna go ahead and see if we can unlock our talent tree, which is sort of unique to World of Warcraft. So, this is where we left off, and we're gonna be heading up north. I hope everybody had a great Halloween. For those people who are listening to this or watching this, way down in the future, it was Halloween when I was recording these videos. Hopefully I'm not too sniffly today, and we'll get her going. So we are coming up on a time where we're going to experience a pretty dynamic change in our character with the introduction of the talent trees, which adds sort of a little bit of customization and a little bit more flavor to the warrior. We're just killing these. I'm just killing these gnolls so that so that they don't chase me down and kill me. But the talent trees unlock some really nice features for the warrior. A couple of things. We're not going to be using a two-handed weapon anymore, I don't think. I'll make that decision right. I don't weapon, eh? Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that decision once we hit level 10, which is where talent trees unlock. But I have a feeling I'm going to be speccing into instead of the talent tree which favors two-handed weapons, the talent tree which favors dual wield, because I think it's a little bit more fun, and I think you get some neater toys and aren't pigeonholed into so many abilities that you just will not see and that aren't very useful. We have quite a while before we get any new relevant abilities for our warrior that don't come from the talent tree. So I think the talents are really gonna help us flesh out what Litchi is doing. There's a little conversation piece here that I'm gonna let you guys read if you'd like to. I don't know if I hovered over this quest for long enough to give you a pause, but there it is. So you should be able to to see the pause. So these guys are going to give us some quests. We're used to doing those quests.
Be seeing you.
I am a little stuffy, so apologies for any throat clearing and the like. I still am a bit of an amateur when it comes to editing the videos. Some really interesting game design features that they've added here, or I guess terrain features. These sort of disgusting carts filled with green liquid, and this sort of boiling cauldron. So we're going to continue to kill these guys because we need two things from them. We need embalming ichor, and we need to kill 5 of them. The drop rates on the collections, which is sort of like collecting the embalming ichor, has really improved since the original game. They used to be quite a bit lower, and I realized I think I might have neglected to mention some things. Sort of watching through my video series. I'm not 100% sure if I covered why you want to level up, and levels themselves. That might be really basic, like that might be verging on, condescending to explain, but I feel as though it's relevant, especially considering that until we get talents, we're basically just questing. So the sort of the main goal when you start World of Warcraft, this guy just cursed us, and now we have two intelligence negative, which really doesn't matter to us, but worth noting that sometimes you get cursed by enemies, especially ones that happen to be filthy. So the initial point of World of Warcraft is your goal is to increase your character's strength, and how you increase your character's strength is you go out, you do quests, you gain experience points, and experience points contribute to your next level up. Every level you get, sort of, the stronger Litchi will become, and she'll begin to unlock, like we've seen, new abilities and things like that. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not 100% sure if I should flesh it out any more than that, but I wanted to just make sure that there was anybody watching and they were like, you know, there was sort of something that I forgot to explain. You know, I sort of want these videos to be for everybody. You know, even if you hate WoW, or even if you don't like WoW, you can still sit down and appreciate, you know, what the game does, you know, sort of the narrative that the game throws at you, and you know, the ability to be able to set goals and achieve goals within a video game, which some games, you know, don't do as well as, you know, an MMO or World of Warcraft tends to do. I hope I'm not over uploading and killing it, and that I won't burn myself up, but I really do want to get like a lot of videos up on my channel, or at least, you know, get a full Let's Play series under my belt where I feel good about it. I'm tossing around quite a few ideas of what I'm going to do for my next game. I have a couple of ideas. One of my ideas is to continue the Let's Play through running the gauntlet through all of the dungeons up to the first expansion of World of Warcraft. I'm not 100% sure I have any interest in playing through the content that the expansions released for a few reasons. One thing, I don't really like the Burning Crusade. I didn't really enjoy the Burning Crusade that much. I raided through it and I played through most of the content that it had to offer. Definitely all the 5-mans, and I would say probably at least 35, 40% of the raid content, you know, before I sort of stopped playing. Wow, we just rushed that monster down like crazy. And I tend not to like that expansion. It's mostly like a mechanical feel. I didn't like... I liked some things about it. I liked that raiding became more accessible with save to 10-mans. What I didn't like was that you essentially still had to do the same thing, which is assemble a full group of 25 people to see any character progression after the instances, that is, the dungeons, stopped being relevant. And that was one problem. The other problem was like the game introduced more of a high fantasy with sort of spacey stuff in it, and that I mean, I think there's a place for that, and I do like that in its place, but when it comes to a game like this where it's, you know, Gothic Age fantasy, and you know, the fantasy is supposed to be sort of medieval and not techie and crystals and, you know, things like that, I felt like, you know, the game had lost something in moving away from, you know, being more of a, I guess you would call it like sword and shield fantasy, maybe. You know, I'm not 100% sure what you would refer that to, but I didn't really like the Burning Crusade that much. It did introduce some really neat things, but realistically speaking, it didn't really do that much for the game. I was much happier with Wrath of the Lich King as, you know, a complete expansion pack, you know, especially considering that they fixed a lot of the problems that were there. They introduced, you know, a rating system where you could see character progression needing far less people. And one of the reasons I like that is because I never like playing with people that I don't like, just so that I can see my character improve. And rating is sort of a weird thing anyway, because you really do end up dedicating a lot of your life to the game to make it work, especially like if you were like me and you had leadership roles, which I really have yet to raid in any guilds aside from possibly the first time I ever raided where I wasn't some sort of a leader. And that usually comes out of the fact that I'm usually vocal and I'm usually active. And I usually play my class fairly well. Well enough to be noticed by the leadership anyway, as a standout. It may not seem that way, having me die, left, right, and center here. But it is, we're gonna make some bandages here because our inventory's full. To try and consume these slots here. And so, while the Burning Crusade was kind of a letdown for me, the Wrath of the Lich King was a really solid expansion pack. It introduced the Dungeon Finder system, which fixed the problem of finding groups to do dungeons, which I think I'll probably end up showing in the capacity of this Let's Play. Maybe not this one exactly, but in the capacity of a Let's Play, for sure. There I'm just consuming. I had one slot here of crappy food. You can tell we're starting to be limited by bag space for sure, and that's going to become a problem. I think probably we'll take a trip to the auction house today, maybe once we get level 10, to try and hopefully fill up our bag slots. One of the advantages of having other characters, which I do have, but I don't have them currently active because combination of things, my account was hacked. But one of the advantages from a long digression is that you have the ability to give your newer characters, or the characters you're just starting, things like backpacks, some starting gold, maybe a couple of items. We really haven't run into the item quality issue yet. Everything we're running is pretty much still gray or white, which is in this game those items are classified probably as mundane items, or items not even worth your time. Early on, obviously the armor is going to help us survive a little bit better, and the better of a weapon we can equip on Litchi, the better we are. Warriors tend to be pretty dependent on the weapon they're equipping, although that has definitely changed. Before sort of the Wrath of the Lich King, warriors were 100% dependent on their weapon, having, realistically speaking, only one or two really nice instant attacks that worked off of our attack power instead of doing weapon damage directly based on our weapon. Like you can see here, strike completely ignores our weapon, as does Victory Rush. That's sort of a little bit more challenging for me to explain, because the tooltips look as though it might be affected by the weapon, but actually they're not. Victory Rush is calculated through our attack power, and our attack power again is a calculation of strength. You can see here where it says strength increases your attack power by 40. So we start off with a little bit of attack power base, and then our 30 strength gives us 40 attack power, giving us a total of 64 melee attack power. And so once we progress into the sort of the first tier of gear, which is green, which is sort of considered uncommon, and realistically the first magical or enchanted gear you're going to see, you'll start to see statistic gain, which really will help Litchi feel quite a bit stronger. And what I was talking about earlier, switching our weapons, also you'll notice level 10 is going to be a big level for us. It's going to make Litchi feel quite a bit stronger than she did at level 8 and at level 9, and you'll see why. It unlocks the first talent you get. Sort of getting to level 10 is a big milestone in your character's life, and while the system has changed quite a bit and doesn't necessarily feel it. Ooh, that's really nice. I'm gonna get rid of these bat wings and just put a minor potion on our bar, something to save my butt when I make a mistake. What was I talking about? Talents. Because of the way the talent system has changed, instead of getting a talent every level like we used to, there's a new, I mean it's actually old, but it's new to me because I didn't really play with it that long, but a newer system which bakes a lot of the fundamental talents that were in the tree that you had to get and that weren't really a choice, takes those abilities that normally we would get and just gives them to you automatically at level 10. And it has a pretty profound effect on little Litchi.